Hi, Spencer Cheap Pops. You're on the air.
My ass! My ass!
Hi, sponsor Cheap Pops. We are back from the dead, ladies and gentlemen. Vladi Dottie, about 69 pounds less, you sexy son of a gun. It's Silicon Steve Alley, and we have went on a little bit of a hiatus. A lot of life changes and things, some amazing things happening in our lives. Vladi Dottie, you look beautiful. Down a bunch of weight. Congratulations on that. Welcome back.
Hey, it's good to be back, man.
It's been a minute. It was great talking to you, catching up. And we come back at the prefaces of the biggest professional wrestling event not affiliated with sports entertainment in the world. It's going to be AEW All In with one of their best, most stacked cards they might have ever had. This might be the best All In card thus far, if you really look down, depending on what you like. But they're pretty healthy. It helps. They have a great hot storyline on top with Hangman and what we think is going to happen. We are now tied. When are we done with this little excursion? When am I getting the purple nipple back? Because you were up by 2 matches, Bloody Dottie. And I have, with all the guts and heart in me, I have crawled my way back. And we are now tied. We are the soothsayers. We are the dreamers of the dreams. Bloody Dottie, when is this contest over so I can reclaim my victory?
Let us go through SummerSlam weekend.
All right, I like it. I like it a lot. That's good. AEW 2025. Here is your card, your preview, and of course, your magnificent picks from Silicon Steve Alley and, of course, Vladi Dottie.
And here we are back, and as good as ever. And we're leading off here with the AEW Tag Team Championship match, where we have the Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, were the champions versus Jet Speed, team of Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight, versus the Patriarchy, where Christian Cage and Nick Wayne are in this bout for a triple threat tag team title match. So if you don't mind, I'll lead off. I will choose the Hurt Syndicate in this match.
I also went with the Hurt Syndicate. I thought they did it, even though they did leave the door open on Dynamite this past week. Jet Speed, which is a stupid name. Jet Speed did a Pearl Harbor attack, and then with the Patriarchy coming out and assisting, beat the living hell out of Shelton Benjamin, and Bobby Lashley got the Jet Speed. Jet Speed took out Shelton Benjamin, but the Patriarchy, 3 or 4, I'm not sure if it was 3 or 4.
Concertos on Bobby Lashley. Snake.
On his leg. So that's one of two things. Either it gives everyone a plausible reasoning for how the Hurt Syndicate could lose. Because I think it's kind of early for them to lose this title, to be honest.
Right.
But with a triple threat match, is that necessary? Because you could always have a shitty opponent beat the more shitty opponent. So yeah. I don't know. I feel like they did this for a reason. I don't know why, though, but maybe it's to show how badass they are. And at the end of the day, you see that the Hurt Syndicate is so tough they can sit through that beating, which was interesting because the baby faces attacked them like they were heels.
Yeah, it caught me a little bit off guard too, and I was like, man, they're really making the Hurt Syndicate look weak at this moment, and especially against those guys. Like I'm like, I had to suspend my belief system.
No, you did 100%. It looked very, very awkward. For my taste anyway, I thought it was very awkward. Just because the manner in which Jet Speed, and they're supposed to be these high-flying baby faces, the manner in which they attacked the Hurt Syndicate was so vicious and vile and cheap shot, and it was weird. Like I wanted the Hurt Syndicate to get up and beat the living piss out of these two,
Oh, you're not a Speedball fan?
Not really, no. No, I am. I think he's good in the ring. I don't think he's bad, I like Mike Speedball. I don't Speedball Mike Bailey. I like Speedball. I like him. I like him fine. I want him. Do I want a baby? But he's a big time baby face. He's as much of a white bread baby face as you're going to see in AEW right now. And he's doing that kind of attack on who's supposed to be heels, people who are in cahoots with MJF. It just made me feel weird and made me feel like I wanted the Hurt Syndicate to win. Now they're real popular. They're heels. but they get some of the biggest pops of the night. Everyone loves singing their song. Hurt Syndicate's been very good. And I think they continue their tag team title match. One thing to keep an eye on, MJF was nowhere to be seen during that attack. He hit that. He hightailed it out of there. What kind of ramifications are going to come out of that? And we'll see what happens after that. But I think the Hurt Syndicate does win, and that starts a little bit of a riff. If you haven't seen it already, something's going to happen where Nick Wayne blames Christian Cage, and you're going to start seeing the babyface turn of maybe the most dastardly heel in AEW with Christian Cage. So eventually you're going to see Christian and Edge, or whatever his name. He might be Edge, actually, when he comes back, interestingly enough. Christian and Edge, or Christian and Adam Copeland, or Cope, whatever. You're finally going to get that FTR Christian and Adam Cope match. And that's something I think we're going to get by the end of 2025. The question is how do you turn Christian Cage babyface? That's a question for another day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you sense the FDR Christian and Cope feud on the horizon with that promo from Dynamite, actually. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the Speedball. Mike Bailey chose the nickname Speedball. Like, what does he have against John Belushi?
Yeah, it does remind me of heroin and cocaine mixed together.
Yeah,
it's a little weird.
Yeah, and I was a Belushi guy, so it's like. Next match, TNT Championship. You got Adam Cole, Bebe versus Kyle Fletcher.
I think the Protostar comes out on top. I think this is going to be his first singles title in AEW. I know he was the pure champion in Ring of Honor, but look, anyone can look at Kyle Fletcher. They know he's a future champion, future world champion. The guy has every single tool, can cut a promo, has Don Callis by his side. Adam Cole's had a good little run, and more importantly, Danny Garcia is turning heel on him, and he's going to join the Dan Callis family. I'm very clear that if you watch his past Collision this past week, you'll know why. The main event was Kyle Fletcher and Danny Garcia, the winner getting a match with Adam Cole at All In, and Adam Cole briefly giving a pound to Danny Garcia distracted him, and that's when all hell broke loose. And Danny Garcia wound up losing the match. Kyle Fletcher took advantage of him, powerbombed on the apron, absolutely decimated him, getting the win. And I think Daniel Garcia has been a little bit lukewarm to Adam Cole's but being his buddy and being his friend. Danny Garcia has been like, we're cool, I respect you, but you still took my title. And so I feel like that is set up where Danny Garcia, that's going to be the big moment for him. And I think Kyle Fletcher, the Protostar, beats Adam Cole, Bebe, for the TNT Championship.
You know what? That's a great breakdown, and I agree with you. But I chose Adam Cole.
Fuck, you say you're going to agree with me, and then you pick the wrong guy. Come on.
Oh no, because honestly, I didn't see any of that Collision stuff.
Oh well.
So
you got to watch the show sometimes, bud. That's
yeah. Sorry. So
it is
next
Collision.
Match. Yeah, I was like, who the fuck? What sort of losers watch Collision?
Collision was great this past week, man. Outrunners and FTR. If you're ready for the pre-match, they're on the pre-show on Saturday. So because we got to watch that match again after a week.
I'll probably be busy. Next match,
you like good old school tag team wrestling. It was a great match. But anyway.
Yeah, next match, we got Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks, where it's my understanding the circumstances of this match are no title shots for Ospreay or Swerve for a year. And the other aspect of it to consider is that if the Young Bucks lose, they lose their EVP titles.
And I thought they did a good job of changing that. I don't know if you saw it. Initially, it was put your EVP titles on the line. There was nothing that Swerve and Ospreay did, but they had announced that was a stipulation before the Bucks even really agreed to it. So they did a good job of fixing that. Following week, Young Bucks were like, we're not going to do that why should we do that unless you put something on the line? And then Ospreay came up with that scenario where, me and Swerve both won't be able to fight for the championship in 1 year's time. What happens in 1 year's time? All In 2026. That's when I think you see Will Ospreay win the world championship. And that's one of the reasons why also you can keep two of your top stars out of the world championship picture. I think for that reason and that reason alone, I think Young Bucks win this one. in a dastardly way. I'm not sure. Maybe Jack Perry comes back. There's been rumors he's back because they really missed him. But maybe Jack Perry comes back, costs them the match. We'll see what happens. But Will Ospreay and Swerve. And by the way, this is going to be a great match. I really do believe this is going to be one of the best matches of the night. You have two of the best in-ring performers in the world with Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland on top of one of the best tag teams ever. And I think also the Young Bucks probably are looking at they have something to prove here. So I think it's going to be a great match. But I think the Young Bucks maintain their EVP status, and Will Ospreay will get his world championship title shot and win next year at next year's All In.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I also chose the Young Bucks. Plus, like, you know what? If they don't have those EVP titles against their names, really, what good do they serve at that? Beyond that,
what's their character? Dork?
Yeah, like what are they then? Yeah, exactly. You know, so
we're just dorks.
Yeah. So yeah, Young Bucks as well. That's who I chose. So. And then, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if something happens between Ospreay and Strickland where they actually start feuding with each other as well. Some sort of miscommunication. You cost me this, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they start a program.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I don't like if that's the way they did it because they've built a really good story between those two about how good of friends they are.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, Swerve Strickland did agree to it. At the time, it wasn't just Will Ospreay. Like Swerve was put on the spot, but Swerve did agree himself. He said, "Let's do it." So I thought that would be one of the ways they go about it. But Swerve, his character, and he's so over as a babyface. I don't think they turn him heel, and I don't think they really try to undercut each other. And I that's the reasoning, and I think it's storyline wise, you can keep Ospreay out of the picture and Swerve out of the picture, and let other guys kind of have that play space of the AEW World Championship because there's probably a couple guys that are going to have it. Ideally, I'd like to see Kenny Omega be the champion going into All In next year against Will Ospreay. That'd be my ideal thing. That's what I would love, but we'll see what happens.
Right. Next match, we got the Casino Gauntlet match for the ladies, in which I believe we know that Chris Statlander's in it. Also, Megan Bayne. I'm not sure beyond them who else is in there, but I chose Statlander.
I chose Chris Statlander too. She's doing this weird thing with perhaps Marina Shafir helps her or other members of the Death Riders who might not be wrestling later. I think Marina Shafir makes a lot of sense. Or even Yuta. There's clearly been a thing where Statlander, I guess she's going through another turn, which is the fourth turn in a year and a half.
And she's awesome, by the way. She's talented and all this. And I don't understand why they have so many, personality shifts for her. So.
I think they screwed up with the Stokely Hathaway thing, and they knew it. And then they really screwed up her babyface turn, and she's been kind of floundering ever since. She had a nice little program with Willow Nightingale. And they had a couple great matches, but overall, she really stalled out after she turned heel and after the Willow Nightingale feud was over. And now she seems like she's kind of flirting with Moxley. Moxley gave her a little bit of, not in a sexual way, but Moxley was like, "Don't let anyone tell you who you are." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And she kind of looked like she was in awe of Jon Moxley at that point in time.
I mean, who isn't?
I think Moxley has turned his, I know I'm in the Supreme, well, we'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
Let's go to the Casino Gauntlet match for the men here. We got MJF against Mark Briscoe, and also Mystico's been named as well. Not sure who beyond, but I don't know if I went first or you went first last. You go first this time, right?
I went with MJF just because he's the only story that's happening. Him and Briscoe are the only story that was really cooking about the Gauntlet match. Like usually the problem with the Gauntlet match opposed to the Royal Rumble, and they have a similar vibe in terms of people coming down, that you don't know all the participants, and which is kind of cool, but it's also kind of weird because, and you can't really tell people because what if the way the match goes, it can end at any point in time. So you don't announce all the players. So it's hard to pick. You just got to take a guess. It's hard to pick these matches because you just got to take a guess. We're literally only picking one of the 5 people we might have known is listed. I think they mentioned other people. They did like a couple backstage scenes where like, I'm in the casino, the casino, whatever they call it, the Casino Gauntlet match. So at the end of the day, with me, I just think MJF is the only one they're putting a lot of effort in, and if he gets a shot at the title, that could be the culmination of with him and Bobby Lashley splitting and the Hurt Bit Syndicate and however that's going to play out. I think you bring MJF to the preface of winning that championship, and then all of a sudden, no, something goes wrong, and he blames the Hurt Syndicate for not getting his goal completed. Because what's MJF's character is, he likes to blame everybody else, right? Yeah. So that's what we're going to see with that. I think MJF wins, and I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a good match. I love those matches. I don't know what you think about them, but I love the Casino Gauntlet matches. I think they're exciting. I think there are a lot of surprises. Maybe you have Jay White show up, which would be great. But I don't think anyone should win other than MJF.
Okay. Yeah, we're aligned there for sure, man. So let's look at the next match, which could possibly and historically, perhaps this could steal the show. You have the Unified Championship match between Kenny Omega and Okada.
What's interesting, and I'd like to spend a little time on this if I could, being a pretty good student of the Okada Omega matches in New Japan. Saw all of them multiple times, with the exception of their G4 match or their G1 match in 2017. There's a magic there. And again, I've said it before time and time again that 2 out of 3 is the best ever. My issue is, can they live up to that? They're both 6 or 7 years older. And can they pull it off? But to tell you that I'm excited about it is an understatement. Again, anytime, I don't know how many of these matches Kenny has left in him. And he's going to go out there and they're going to try to show a lot of Americans if they don't know. The only thing I would also take away from it is, they were wrestling for the grandest prize in New Japan. They were wrestling for the World Championship. This isn't necessarily that, which is takes a little bit away from the luster for me. But I believe that Kenny Omega and Okada are going to really put on a special show, and I don't think it can eclipse anything they've done before. So I feel like a guy like me might be disappointed. That said, I think it's Kenny's time. Okada has been been the Continental Champion for, I believe, over a year at this point in time. And I think Kenny wins the quote unquote rubber match. Okada won one. Then there was a tie. Then Kenny won another one. Kenny actually, technically, he did win the G1. So you have to wonder if that actually plays into, are they going to have another match? But I've heard, they've said this is one last time of Kenny Okada. So if this is truly the last time, I think Kenny Omega wins it, and as well he should, and that's who I picked.
Yeah, I chose Omega as well. So, I definitely am not going to go and overshadow anything you said here with your experience and historical knowledge of these two, especially. I just personally, I've been underwhelmed by Okada in America, to say the least. So I'm looking forward to seeing Omega go over on him on this and basically get some gold around his waist and start progressing towards the world title scene.
Wrestle Talk calls Okada in America, they call him 3-star Okada.
It's nothing. I've not seen anything special from him, really.
Well, the thing is his bread and butter are matches. And he's not going to put on pay-per-view caliber matches on regular TV. And the matches he hasn't had the best opponents always. So I'm not making excuses for him. I don't think he's been at his best, but I also don't think he also doesn't have the same aura he had in Japan. He was the top star. He was always the top guy. And that doesn't always translate. We saw it with Nakamura in WWE. Doesn't always translate here in the States.
Right. No,
however, the indie nerds like myself and that love New Japan nerds, we have loved Okada because we are seeing more of a personality from him than we ever saw before. He was always very stoic and never really the whole bitch thing or how he jokes around. Oh, he's so sorry, and he kind of acts like a pussy sometimes or whatever, or a wimp sometimes. So that, if you love Okada prior, but the thing is, if you didn't understand Okada in New Japan, you're probably not. It's just his bread and butter is putting on those great matches in front of that crowd.
Right.
Is he the biggest New Japan star ever? He's one of them. But I between Nakamura and Okada, I would always say Nakamura had a better chance to be bigger in the States because of more of the pomp and circumstance with Okada or with Nakamura. But this is something that all us New Japan indie nerds are going to really look forward to, and it's going to be great. I will say this, though. I thought it was a good twist because I thought Okada was really dying with the Young Bucks. I thought it was kind of lame. I think being with Callis, making this match a lot more personal than it's ever been, because they were always about business before. The story of a Kenny Okada, just who was the best. Now it's not only who is the best, it's you tried to take me out, you hurt somebody I loved, and you are now this scumbag Don Callis. Kenny Omega wants to take out Okada on a personal level, and that's never been the case before, which is another thing. It's a little bit of a different tweak for a guy like me that has known Okada and Kenny for so long. But that's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, it should be interesting, man. And let's roll on to the AEW's Women's World Championship match between Timeless Toni Storm, the champion, against Mercedes Moné.
And Vladi Dottie, this is easily the biggest for my money. And I know it's not going to be the biggest money-wise and the most seen or whatever, but this is, for me, the biggest and most intriguing women's match of the entire year. We could talk all the shit we want about Mercedes Moné, and we could say whatever you want. She's actually had good matches. She's out of all her matches, she's had one or two ones that weren't good. One was bad. I forget which one it was. It might have been the one with Julia Hart. One of her matches were bad. Other than that, her matches they've been good every single pay-per-view, particularly. She's been good. Yes, she's annoying, but what do you want her? She's a heel. Like, I don't mind her and I think she's come into her own a little bit as with this heel persona, the CEO persona. She's gotten better. And then now she's going up against easily the top women's wrestler in the planet today in Toni Storm. Not only is she really good in the ring, what she's done with this timeless character has been nothing short of a game changer. Another level. Nobody is on Toni Storm's level in terms of entertainment value and in terms of women's wrestling right now. Nobody. And no one's going to tell me different. And by the way, this character has been around for a couple years now. Yeah. I was wondering if this character was going to get a little stale. Right. No. She keeps on tweaking, keeps on saying these hilarious things, keeps on doing different things. Toni Storm needs to get all the flowers now. She's been incredible. And with that said, I think Toni Storm gives Mercedes Moné her first loss in AEW. And your winner, she is Toni Storm, and she is timeless.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I 100% agree, man. I chose Toni Storm as well. The whole thing with Mercedes Moné's belt not being on the line as well, that's another way that she saves face, in my opinion. And then also, it also, basically elevates Toni to another good level. And it's like, hey,
a great point.
There's gonna be another, rematch for sure. And, maybe they have a trilogy at some point, but they're two of the best. As you said perfectly about Mercedes Moné, like, no matter how robotic, like, her promos could be at times, and she sort of can be like nails on a chalkboard sometimes, her matches are really good. So I can't take anything away from her. When she's actually in the ring and wrestling, I'm still entertained. I'm impressed. She gives it her all, and she is up there, man. She is really a really great women's wrestler.
Yeah, this angle has been really good. They've done a great job building this angle up. They've done a great job. The promos have been really good. They've been going back and forth. They had a good go-home segment this past week opening the show. They're putting Toni and Mercedes in a spot where they are one of the most prominent matches. It might be, your top three matches is that one, and it's going to be the Unified Championship with Okada and Kenny, and then, of course, the main event.
Speaking of the main event.
Did you see the segue, Vladi?
I saw it.
You can't buy segues like that. That's why this show's the best.
Exactly.
When we do it.
When we're clicking on all cylinders, we're the best.
Yeah.
We have the AEW World Championship match where we have Jon Moxley, the champion, versus Hangman Adam Page in a Texas death match, ironically in Texas. And if you don't mind, I will lead off with this.
Yeah, we might be
choice.
different here. We might be different here.
I don't know. I went with Hangman Adam Page.
Guess we're not.
Yeah, he is the right guy to take the belt off of Mox. This has been just me personally. This has been torture. This whole reign.
You don't think it's got? You don't think Mox's run has gotten better the last 6 months?
No, I don't think so. And he's one of the reasons I've kind of pulled away from AEW as well, because it's the same bullshit over and over. Droning, cryptic. Oh, what did you watch on Netflix or Prime this week, John? Oh, you watching Jack? You're watching Jack Reacher, and you're borrowing stuff from that too. He is totally, he's just so unoriginal and boring.
You see when he quoted Roman Reigns about, "That's my camera, those are my seats."
Yeah, he's just unoriginal and boring, and he's one of the worst. This has been one of the worst title reigns, and I have been a guy who's been a critic of Adam Page in the past. However, this work that he's been doing leading up to this and into this has been excellent. I can't deny it. And even a couple of weeks ago when he did his promo in Spanish, I'm like, nice touch. Like this is good, of like him showing these levels to himself. And I was no fan of his original world title reign by any means.
Terrible. He could be the weakest world champion ever, and that had more than like a week run. Opposed to CM Punk with his 3 2-day runs.
And say what you will, man. I want to see him redeem himself with this, and I want to see him win. So I'm all in, unintended, on Adam Page winning this match this weekend on Saturday.
Well, this is my thing. I think when this whole thing started, I don't think he was going to win. I don't think that was in the cards. A couple things have happened recently. The momentum he has had. The fact that Hangman has actually gotten Swerve Strickland to almost side with him, as he did this past week on Dynamite. They want to go after the EVPs, which is why I wonder if the Bucks do win. Sorry about that. So, but the momentum
brought to you by Tums.
So, what Hangman has done, the work he did with Swerve Strickland. I know a lot of people hated the brutality of their cage match a little under a year ago, back at All Out last year. And a lot of people hated it. The syringe was probably kind of dumb. But the rest of the match was the brutal, disgusting match that you wanted. It really was. I know, again, it turned a lot of people off, but what those two guys did together, those two guys created and made themselves get over even more. And Hangman was already considered a top guy, even though he wasn't. But in many respects, he was. Swerve Strickland finally got it, but they both helped elevate themselves. Hangman was floundering when he started feuding with Swerve Strickland. He was floundering. He lost his title, didn't really have anything interesting going on. He had did a decent run with Moxley when they had the death match right there. Decent run, nothing crazy though. And Hangman was still kind of floundering. Swerve just left with Keith Lee, and he was kind of trying to find his place within AEW. They start feuding, and they did magic, and they feuded for almost a year. And it was, if it wasn't for probably McIntyre Punk last year, they would probably, in my mind, get the feud of the year.
Yeah.
Fast forward a year. Hangman, the fans started cheering for Hangman, even though they were booing him during the Swerve Strickland feud. The fans started cheering for Hangman. What is it when he wasn't really a babyface yet? And it was this organic vibe. And then so Hangman starts now getting in his wheelhouse where he's the underdog, fighting his own personal whack job psychoses, and fighting his own demons, whatever the case may be. And the path he took to get there, winning the Owen Hart Cup, beating who many people consider the best wrestler on the planet. Anyone with a brain in their head that watched Will Ospreay wrestle would think that. And they had an absolute beast of a classic match, a main event match, by the way. And to the point where Hangman was so over, the Billy Goat, Will Ospreay, who was the most over babyface for most of the last year, he was actually, the fans, it was even a little bit more for Hangman than it was Will Ospreay. Now, they didn't have any anger towards Ospreay, but they were really, Hangman has become the crowd favorite. That, and the momentum he has built with the crowd just absolutely in love with him the way they were in 2021. That, and then you add a quote I read from Darby Allin today. And we all thought when this John Moxley debacle started, we all thought that Darby Allin was going to be the guy for obvious reasons because Moxley took his spot for the world championship and Darby was going to go to Mount Everest and he was going to come back the hero. Well, they didn't anticipate Hangman Adam Page getting this kind of momentum. And Darby Allin said today in an interview out of nowhere, I don't know if it was if someone asked him or why this was brought up. I don't know the context of the answer, but he basically said, I am so grateful and so happy with my life. I already feel like a champion. I don't need to win the world championship, so it's not a big deal to me. Came out and said that.
Wow.
It's interesting he's saying it a couple days prior because I think there might have been some fans that really wanted to see Darby be because it makes the story would be full circle and it would be a nice little bow on it. But you cannot deny the momentum and the magic that is happening with Hangman Adam Page and everyone, every part-time player and every side player, people like Will Ospreay and members of the Death Riders and the Young Bucks, all of these players making Hangman Adam Page now a big-time favorite to beat John Moxley in terms of the fans. The question is what's next after that? But I take Hangman Adam Page for all of those reasons. So me and you are on the same page there. So I think we only have one match that's different, but I am looking forward. There's going to be 3 or 4 really great matches, and I'm really looking forward to seeing All In this Saturday, July 12th, from Texas. All In AEW, their biggest show of the year. So I'm really excited about that, and I hope everyone watches.
Yeah, absolutely. And I sort of add to like a little bit of final thought there. That was one of the reasons I chose MJF as the number one contender, because now all of a sudden you have MJF versus Hangman, and it's a big program. Yeah, this would be, it's like the perfect storm for those two to have a good program as well. So, I'm looking forward to Hangman beating Moxley, and I've never been a bigger Hangman fan than right now. So, like,
and that's big from you because you did kill Hangman. You killed Hangman.
Yeah. And honestly, I think he can. I think one of the drags of AEW television has been Moxley for quite some time, especially when you have him holding the title. I need the change. Me, the wrestling fan for AEW, needs this change. So I really hope it goes well. That might revitalize a little bit of my fandom, if you will, and I'll start watching more regularly for sure.
You might start watching wrestling again, so the wrestling podcast can be more interesting. Good job, Vladi.
Thank you. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at with this for sure. So hopefully Hangman wins.
I think he will. I will defend Moxley with this. I think his title reign has been better the last 6 months. I thought in the beginning it was garbage. I thought it was very interesting. I think part of it was we were all expecting Shane McMahon to be showing up. And if you remember way back in September. And I think they tried to go long enough to where people really, 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 really want him to lose. There was a lot of people. I mean, how many times did we want Roman Reigns to lose? And we thought the first 2 or 3 years, this is getting old. You gotta get the title off of Roman Reigns. This is bullshit. Roman Reigns sucks. And they created one of the greatest moments in WrestleMania history and WWE history when Cody Rhodes beat him for that title. I certainly am not comparing the two in terms of the quality or length. Obviously, it's not. However, the idea that Moxley needed to have a long title reign to tell this story that he wanted to tell, it was important. I think he dug himself such a bad hole in the beginning of this storyline with the Orange Cassidy matches and all the mid-carders, all the 125-pound mid-carders he was wrestling in the beginning. It was stupid. When you have all these top stars and you're putting Orange Cassidy against them, a comedian wrestler. And I know he's one of their biggest baby faces and biggest stars. God bless him. But the reality is he's not selling out. He's not a main event guy. Ever. And never will be. And you try to sell 2 different pay-per-views with him on top. With his friggin' hands in his pocket. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, but he's wearing black jeans now. He's more dark. Ooh.
Sinister.
You know? And I love Jay White, but he hasn't proven himself in AEW in America yet where he should have been in that spot either. You need to put top stars against your top stars. And I think Tony Khan has done that recently. You bring Adam Copeland against Moxley. I think that was kind of a turning point. I thought they had a good feud. I really do. With everything that they did. And I think Moxley's been cutting good promos. I love I really but I really like what he's done over the last 6 months. I think the turn of the year, Moxley has been a lot better, and I think people are still burying him because it got off to such a bad start. That's my opinion. Not necessarily you. I think you have, you have your own thought process on the things. But I think a lot of people, if they had a little bit more of an open mind and he didn't have such a boring, horrible start. And AEW was terrible in the beginning of his, don't forget it, AEW was garbage a year ago. AEW was clown shoes programming a year ago. But it's not a coincidence, since it's been better in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes, it's not a coincidence their ratings have gone up across the board over the last 3 quarters. That's not a coincidence. So I think Moxley's a part of it that's been good the last 6 months. So I defended Moxley a little bit toward anybody who I think has been burying him, I think, a little too much. I think if you gave his title reign a grade right now, I think it'd be a C, not a D or an F. That's what I would say. What do you give? A D or an F?
Yeah, I would give it an F. I mean, I brought out the plastic bags again last night. That's I see he's evolving.
What do you want him to do? We want him to bring on a friggin' bottle of what the hell did he do one time? Didn't he bring out
maybe change the briefcase, because that's part of his personality. He hides the title, even though we all know he's the champion and you can't see it.
He's trying to do something different that no one ever did before. And the idea is when that title is won and it's revealed, it's going to be a big moment. The idea now, will the moment be that? I don't know. But I missed that title. You don't miss the title?
Yeah, I think that title in particular should be shown, not the other 12.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
To their credit, they've been keeping most of Ring of Honor titles off. That's another thing that AEW has been doing good lately. They're keeping most of the Ring of Honor titles off.
Bandito led off Dynamite with that title.
I'm not saying it happens. I'm saying it's better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's absolutely better, but I'm, what have you. They're still putting other Ring of Honor guys on, but they're not like, you don't have your Ring of Honor tag. When was the last time you saw Dustin Rhodes on AEW television?
Yeah, well, I haven't really watched, but it's probably been.
Well, that's another part too. So how are you going to really be that critical?
Well, what I'm saying is, when I watched Dynamite last night, pretty much almost every segment had a champion of some sort in it. I'm like, everybody's a goddamn champion here.
I don't think it's as bad as it was. I really don't.
Well, they are unifying 2 of them.
They're unifying 2 of them.
So we're starting to go in the positive direction.
Yeah. I think they've scaled back on having so many titles. I believe they have scaled back on that. So I disagree with you there. And I've no offense, but I've watched a bit more than you know what I mean. AEW has been my most consistent show. I fast forward through WWE and I've pretty much both shows on WWE, and I usually fast forward through Collision. Dynamite's the one I try to pay the most attention to because it's been the one that's been entertaining me the most.
Right.
WWE hasn't been. It's been easily the worst creative time during Triple H's reign, and I don't even think it's close. It's 6 months now. I didn't think WrestleMania was set up that well. I don't think they've built up a lot of different momentum. Some cool stuff. But overall, I think it's been very mediocre. Mediocre to watch, mediocre wrestling, mediocre entertainment from WWE since the beginning of the year, which is unfortunate because we saw how great they can be when they're shooting on all cylinders. They're certainly not doing that now. Where maybe AEW is not working on all cylinders. Maybe they are for them. I think there's just part of their brand that people are just never going to like. But I think AEW, the vast improvement between what they were a year ago and what they are now is big time. And the quality of WWE has gone down almost as much as AEW's quality has gone up. And that's why you're seeing Dynamite had more people watch Dynamite for the first time ever than Raw a couple weeks ago. Ironically. Wow. If you take all the streaming from Max and AEW, and I think they did like 700,000, and then I think they did another like 500,000 on Max, and Raw only did 1.1 million.
Wow.
So I'm not saying, and by the way, I don't like comparing them like that because you never know and numbers are skewed.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if you look at just comparing the AEW and WWE with themselves, WWE ratings are all, you're not hearing a lot. This is record gate, burr, we're sticking your money. You're not getting that with the ratings with WWE and eyeballs on the product as of late. They haven't had one of their great moments. They might have a big moment here and there, but AEW's been consistently going that way. So there's a reason for that. There is, I think, the wrestling fan who doesn't have time to watch 10 or 12 hours of wrestling. There's the professional wrestling fan that will watch the better product. I think we're both. I would think we're like that way. And when you have to pick and choose what wrestling you're going to watch because there's only so much time in a week, that's where you have like a 250,000 person swing where it can go either way. Maybe for Raw, WWE, but 250,000 for WWE is nothing. They can lose that tomorrow.
Right.
But that's monstrous for AEW, and I think a lot of people want them to be successful because, again, if AEW isn't successful, WWE makes a monopoly of the professional wrestling world. And we saw what happens when that happens. It's an absolute disaster. And we have John Cena who can't wrestle on top when he's only in his 20s and has no idea what he's doing. And we got Vince McMahon. Never mind. So AEW is important. I'm glad they're doing well. And I know at least they're doing much better than they were.
No, it's good. It's definitely positive, and I'm definitely going to get back into it, especially after watching Dynamite. And I'm going to try to watch this pay-per-view this weekend for sure.
Collision was on tonight. Check it out.
I wish I watched it. I would have chosen somebody other than Adam Cole, baby.
Well, that was last week's Collision. Just
okay.
Not this week's. I don't know what happened in this week's. But all right, folks, that's your preview for All In. Vladi Dottie. What was the match we got different?
Adam Cole versus Kyle Fletcher.
Oh, I'm going. Oh, can my proto star come up top? Oh, Kyle. I think it's Kyle's time. That's going to be the one. Ladies and gentlemen, for Vladi Dottie, this is Silicon Steve Valley. Thank you so much for listening and watching High Spots and Cheap Pops, your preview for AEW All In 2025 live from Texas. Please check out one of the other 15 events that WWE is running this weekend. Complete coincidence. Thank you so much for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. For Vladi Dottie, this is Silicon Steve Valley. Hit the subscribe button and let us know what you think. Thank you for watching, and here endeth the lesson.